Hey everyone, welcome to Motor Psychology from wherever you are on the planet. My name's Jonathan. If you're a new viewer here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome and thanks for coming back. So in today's video, I'm going to show the cleaning and refurbishing of a power steering cylinder part 2 for a C3 Corvette. So in this video, you're going to see the initial degreasing of the power steering cylinder and power steering bracket. Then I'm going to be moving on to the wire brushing to get rid of all rust and other dirt and debris that's on these things. Then I'm going to move on to priming the power steering bracket and then also replacing the seals in the power steering cylinder with that. After that, I'm going to be doing a prime and paint of the power steering cylinder and then put all pieces together. So hopefully you'll find this video interesting. It's kind of long, so I'll put timestamps below in the description so you can find whatever part that you're interested in. I think one of the real neat areas is the area where I do the seal replacement in the power steering cylinder. That's interesting. It's not normally that available on YouTube or on the internet, so it's a good piece of information to have for any of you guys that are interested in doing this with your power steering cylinder. So stick around, enjoy the video, and we'll catch you later. For this, I'm using a combination of brake cleaner and also Chemical Guy's orange degreaser, which I always find really effective for removing stubborn grease and grime on these components. Spraying this down to get rid of any grease that's on it. In this part of the video and other places in the video where I have high speed, I'm basically showing it at 7 times the normal speed. I decided to leave these parts in the video because it shows the amount of effort that goes into a restoration or a refurb of these type of components, whether or not it's a power steering cylinder for a C3 Corvette or a power steering cylinder for another type of vintage car. So it's useful, I think, to show the amount of labor that goes into it. So before you do decide to do it, you can get an appreciation that it does take a while. This is kind of the second cleaning of these components. The first cleaning was when they were still installed on the C3, so once I got them off, it gave me an opportunity to do a better cleaning so that I could get it completely ready for the restoration. So you're going to see the cleaning of the power steering cylinder plus the power steering cylinder bracket that attaches to the frame as well. So it's all pretty useful to see. It's interesting for me to realize that there's over 44 years of oil and crud on these components. So after all that time, it's finally nice to get them all cleaned up and get them ready for the next phase of restoration. Give it a wire brush and paint it. Put in some new bushings, it'll be good. Same with this. Do a quick wire brush on it, and I'm going to put new seals in on the end too. So those seals are going to be replaced next. There, that's one more old greasy part. that is still old but not greasy anymore. Well, I'm at the stage now where I want to refinish this power steering cylinder. So what I'm going to do right now is take the rest of the paint and whatever surface rust is on it off. And I'm also going to clean off the rust off the power steering cylinder bracket. And I'll also take out the bushings as well because I've got new ones for that. I just don't know where they are right now, but I'll find those. So I'm going to try a few things for this. I'm going to try and use like a wire brush, this guy here, and I could actually try doing some sandblasting with this as well, but we'll see how it goes. So I've got the setup here on an angle grinder, air-powered angle grinder. Should work pretty fast. And I'm going to put it on, I think, a medium setting here. All right, I've adjusted the speed up to a 3. See how that works. It's taking it off. Could even crank it up to a 4 here. I wanted to show you guys something. So I bought this set. It's basically a bunch of silicone cones of different sizes and shapes. And they're really good. I'm using a couple of these tiny black ones here, and I'll show you where. So, to keep the inside of the cylinder clean and free of debris, I'm using these little silicone shaped cones to go in those holes. And you just push them in the holes that fit. And this one I can't get out. There we go. So I push this thing in there and just tight enough. That'll keep the holes sealed and allow me to do the work without worrying about any dust or debris or anything like that going inside them. And when you're done, you just take them out. It's a great idea. Okay, let's try and see what type of progress we make here. That's looking pretty good. So once again, you're seeing a 7 times normal speed as I clean off all the dirt and rust off of this power steering cylinder. Yeah, like most of this, I didn't find any of it difficult at all. It's just time consuming and you have to pay attention to detail in order to get most of it clean. But as far as level of difficulty, not very difficult. I'm using an air-powered angle grinder for this, but of course you could use an electric drill if you wanted to. It's getting there. In the video, it may look like it took a long time to do this, but in reality, it didn't take much more time than what you're seeing in this video. Work on this end a little bit. Is the power steering cylinder. It is looking really good, and it will be ready. I mean, it's old, but it'll be ready for a repaint, and I'm going to put in some new seals in this first. Doesn't even look like it needs some, but I'm going to check to see what I have, and I'm going to replace the seals and then tape it up and paint, and it's going to look pretty much brand new. Put this back on it so I don't lose it. And I'm so happy with that. The next thing is this guy, and I love how it has the numbers on it. And I'm going to do a wire brush, and then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get this bushing out. First, I'm pretty sure I ordered a new bushing, so I want to make sure I have the new bushing, and then I'm going to take that out as well. But for now, I'm just going to give it a quick wire brush and see how it looks. It's definitely the project of cleaning and wire brushing. So somebody once said that, you know, none of the stuff is difficult. You just need a lot of elbow grease and effort and just perseverance. Definitely the most rusted out area. Hopefully I can get that off and get it back to looking like normal. Lots of high-speed video here. Like I said, I wanted to show the process but not bore everyone to death with the process in real time. That's starting to look really good. A couple more minor things on it and we're done. I'm gonna leave this like this for now until I take out the bushing on that, and then I will clean it up, but it sure is looking pretty good compared to what it was like when I took it off. So, a little bit of work, looks awesome. So this is this guy. Ready for the bushings to come out. Then one more wire brush and then paint. So this is going to be a nice restoration of an original part. It'll be sweet. This guy looks absolutely amazing. When that is painted with new seals, he's so happy to have that back in. Nice to save these old parts. This is the kit that I have to repair the power steering cylinder. It's got parts that will go into the power steering cylinder, and it's also got parts that will go into the power steering cylinder bracket as well. So this part here. So I'm just going to take this off and see if I'm successful with that. Doesn't look too hard to get off. We will see. Looks like it's just a matter of prying these two rubber things off. Just kind of prying those off. the bushings here. Doesn't seem too hard to get off. That one's going to pop off just like that. And we're going to pop this one off too. Oh, that was really easy. And that's just going to come out. That's old. That's dirty, but it looks good. That's dirty as well. But we've got a nice bracket here. We'll clean that up. These are the two old parts. No longer required. Okay, I've got a small sandblasting tool that I'm going to try and use on here. And what I want to do is clean out this area here, that area, and hopefully that area as well. And that area. For this, I'm using goggles and a mask so I don't have to breathe the sand. So that got most of the stuff done that I'm looking for. I'll scrape that off. But most of it got nice and clean relatively quickly. There, scraped most of this additional rust out, or at least loosened it up. I'm going to give it a quick sandblast to finish that off. That's the final product, looking pretty good. Ready for a paint. Well, I finally get around to painting the power steering cylinder bracket. So I'm going to prime it first, and I'm just using some gray primer from Duplicolor. And we'll do that, give it a shot. Pretty cool. It hasn't been painted in 44 years, so that's kind of nice. It's gonna look good. Right off the bat, I can tell that this is super nice primer. Very nice. I'm going to be painting this a semi-gloss black. with Rust-oleum, and I'll do 2 coats of that with it once the primer's dry. Let that dry. It's time to take the seals out of this. See if I can get a better view here. You can see the little ring. And take that out, and then take the washers out and the seals out and see how it goes. I've got the seal kit here with instructions, which I'll read. And I've got this guy here, which is totally done, clean, dry, looking really good. I like it. I have a few tools that I'm going to use. These tools here I'm going to use to probably help pick out whatever is in here. So these tools will be used to help pick out the seals in here. Hopefully that will work. That is the kit that I have if anyone is interested in that. So let's carefully open it up and see what we have. We have the boot that'll eventually go on over here when everything is done. No need to put that on now. Got these guys and 2 of these bushings. They go through here. You go through there and on there respectively. So that'll be awesome. That's done. Pretty much looks brand new. That's great. Now the seals, I'm going to put them out in some sort of order, which I may change. This little guy is a replacement for the castle nut, but I'm actually going to keep the castle nut on for this case, I think. Pretty sure. We'll see. That is it. This looks like it's made out of leather or something like that. And when I get around to doing this, I'm going to put it in this little vise here so that I can do it hands-free. All right, let's get into this. The instructions are pretty basic, like very basic. So that's the instructions there. I'm only doing the piston side. I'm not doing the ball stud side for the ball joint, but I may order one of those and do that as well. So my strategy here will be to take these out and lay them out in the order that they came out, and then rearrange these things so they match. And that way I should be good to go with that. So let me get this organized in here. Alright, time to take this off. Still a little bit of dirt around there. We'll take that off. So this has a retaining clip on it. I had to modify my pliers to meet it. The holes are really, really small. So I basically ground these down so that they're going to be small enough to fit. So let's start by removing that. So I'll take these plugs out too. These are just those silicone cones that I put in. Perfect, and that way that'll allow me to move this up and down. Notice that I flipped the cylinder around so I have better access to the retaining ring. I wouldn't say that it was hard to get this retaining ring off, but at the same time, it was a little bit finicky as well. So there's the ring, that's out. I'm going to put that down here in that order. And then rearrange that. Hopefully you can see that. So I've got that out. Now the fun part. I know I could just turn it upside down. Fine. Turn it upside down. Take this out. There we go. Easy. This part is the same as that new part. So I'm going to place that new part here. I'm going to replace that there. Now we're into the second washer, which is the leather washer or seal. Challenge is to get this guy out. I found that I just had to play around with this seal and try and figure the best way to loosen it up and then get a grip with the picks so that I could elevate it up on the shaft when I wanted to get it out. So what you're seeing is me just trying to wiggle it a little bit and trying to push the picks into the seal so that I could elevate it off the shaft. Come on. There is the worn out leather seal. So I can see here that there is a metal washer there. I think I can just pick that up and dump it out. Let's try that. So out slid the metal washer. So I'll put the metal washer here, and here we have the new metal washer. I'll line it up there. almost got it out. There we go. That goes in there. That should be it. Here's what the inside of the power steering cylinder looks like with all the seals out. I just want to make sure I get it clean, and then I'll put the new seals in it. There's your seal alignment here. So this guy goes in first, followed by this one on top, followed by the leather washer, which I found out that's the leather washer, followed by this on top, and then the O-ring. Before I do it, I just want to make sure I have this one coated in a little bit of power steering fluid, just to give this some pliability. I also have a pipe which is 1/2 inch by 18 inch. So if you get a pipe that's 1/2 inch diameter, this will allow you to put it over here and then tamp down your seals nice and snug. So that's a 1/2 inch pipe. Let us get started on this. Pour a little bit of power steering fluid in there. Kind of lube that up a little bit. And then this guy goes face down into here. And with this little pipe, be able to snug that down perfectly. Okay, that seal is in there, nice and tight. Now the rest should be fairly straightforward. Just making sure it's seated properly. Looks good. Right, the next one that goes on top is that washer. Simple. On top of that is your leather seal. Come on, buddy. Leather seal nicely in place, and once that's in place, we're getting to this copper ring. Slides on top. That to go in place. Next I need snap ring. Let's hope this sucker fits on real nice. Almost there. Small tap. It should fit in. Nice. Put these little plugs back in. So there we go. A replacement of the piston seals for this power steering cylinder. I'm going to save the boot for the ball joint and this nut and washer for when I get closer to reinstalling it back on the Corvette. So I'm going to tape that up, put it somewhere safe, and put this castle nut back on here, like so. I still have to straighten this out, but pretty successful on the changing the seals for the piston. I like it. It looks good, nice and clean, not too difficult to do, and ready to go. Next step, gonna paint this back to the original black, and this seems fine, so I'm probably not gonna really change that at all. I like it. Getting this ready for painting, so I'm gonna wipe it down with some acetone. That should get any of the power steering fluid off of it, if it still remains. Make sure those cones are in there nice and tight. So that's the power steering cylinder ready for priming and painting. All the grease is gone, all the oily feeling from the power steering fluid. It's good. Just taping parts up that I don't want to get spray painted. Okay, this is all taped up, ready for paint. It's time to prime this. I'll leave that to dry and I'll be back to paint. That is the paint that I'm going to be using. It's a semi-gloss black, which is generally the agreed color that this is. So I'm going to put that on and we'll see how it looks. Go for the second coat. I've got this back inside. The paint is dry. Looks pretty good. Just going to take off the tape and see how the final product is. So this is what it's looking like so far. It's looking pretty good. Just got a few final things to put on it, and we'll give it one final look. Just an example here for the washers that go on the end of the support bracket. Here's one that I've reconditioned. Looks pretty good. And here is one that I've just degreased. So I'm going to recondition this one and put it on. There's these two guys cleaned up, looking pretty good. That one's a little bit corroded, so we'll see how that goes. That one looks great. Happy to have the original parts. So just going to put it together, see how it looks. This is the boot for this guy here. I'm just going to put a bit of water on it so that it'll slide on nicely. Here's the boot on there. Let's take this off. Goes through like that. This guy goes through like this. That goes on that end, and this castle nut will screw on here. Like so. And just to finalize it, put the castle nut on here. And there you have it, a fully restored, new seals, newly painted, great looking power steering cylinder here. So it went from how I got it off the Corvette to looking how it does now after the restoration. And that is going to look wonderful when it's back on the Corvette. So that's another job done. I will put that away in my parts box until I'm ready to install it. Hey everyone, that completes part 2, or I guess the final part of this power steering cylinder refresh, refurb, replacing the seals and the boots. Also cleaning and refreshing the power steering cylinder bracket. It was a reasonable amount of work as far as time, but the end product is definitely worthwhile. And the takeaway for me is keeping all the original parts, restoring them so that they work properly, they look brand new, and they're going to look great underneath the Corvette. So I hope you found this video interesting, particularly in the area of how to change the seals in the power steering cylinder. There's not too much information out there on how to do that procedure for a C3 Corvette. So that was my main intent, was to do that for you guys. If you like this type of video, hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing and sharing it with friends of yours who may be interested in anything related to C3 restoration and other types of mechanical issues, refurb, and just overall maintenance on your C3 Corvette. So I appreciate all of you guys for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one.